We are live here at Old City Hall where the Moors have returned. Sir, do you have anything to say about this matter?
Yeah. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
Oh, sir, what do you have to say?
I'm just going to put it on the record. I'm not right.
Yeah, what he said.
Moors' life matters. More lives matter. It seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Shot in the back, running or choked out to death on the corners. Mistake to save the for inside him, says the coroner. To the yellow journalists that won awards for writing facts, for worldwide web press stories, always calling them black. Civil rights violated, here comes C1-7 and CIA and FBI agent, brethren, felons with what Big Brother once heard. Most Moors are nerds and study more than if I'm on the road, no biting curbs. No threats of nooses or fighting for survival. Making Moors martyrs won't happen, calling us captain rival. Inquisitionists, governors, and secretaries of state got stateless on their tables like ribeye steak with no care, blood dripping. They eat blacks rare. Foreigners wearing 6-point badges, pretending they're heirs to the vastness of state Mugudi Balaksa. Stainless blood flow past a horse's brow, I swear it's agua. Demons thirst quench, stealing pioneers and organs. Psychiatry, death industry, to start selling black orphans and half-closed coffins, cause legs are missing, killing stateless people, cancer won't even see remission. More lives matter, but it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter, because it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter, because it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter, because it seems like black lives don't matter.
System, what system? Not gonna make myself no victim. Run down and kick them off, educate oneself and flip them. All of the titles or nationality strips them. Must grip reality in order to really grip them in this third dimensional illusion. Organized chaos, confusion, stealing your attention, mental intrusion. Universal laws, declaration of the ancients. I self-law and master from the rooftops to the basements. Hoop deep to the spaceship, ever since all creations. Celestial foundations, ocean floor to the ranges, to the mountain tip, to the cosmic infinite. Basically, we are way above the shit. In other words, get in tune with spirit. Take a breath and accept mental polarity, gender rhythm, correspondence, vibration, cause and effect.
More lives matter, because it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter, because it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter, because it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter, because it seems like black lives don't matter.
More lives matter, because I sing it no sound off. It gets defected when rejected, looking nasty off. Get my perspective when they keep to replay. All the moves that I'm replay until they want to cast off. Bury them, on to the next one. Enough of them are running down. Use them a cast cross. Can't believe I taught me that. Can't believe I Taj Bars, Trayvon, Michael Brown died for us to find cars. The afterlife visited the class brawl. Who they really want to see with the crown on high and the guards on free? I am free and you know business but your land or your country to seek your inalienable rights. The insatiable delight of knowing thyself and bringing all injustice to light. But the fight is your plight, make your sight for the bright. I'm the mic in the night. Foresight for you to realize that, huh?
More lives matter, because it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter, because it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter, because it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter, because it seems like black lives don't matter.
Don't talk about it,
Talk about it. Don't talk about it. Talk about it. Don't talk about it. Talk about it. Don't talk about. Talk about. 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 Don't talk about what you see behind closed doors. Don't talk about business that you know that ain't yours. Better not talk about what happened in '04, but you can talk about what you hear from Canaanland Moors. Bet you won't talk about when you were on all fours. The times you wanted to experiment, explore. Most don't talk about the childhood they endured. It's psychological, need I say more? But all you do is talk shit. Yeah, I know that you're bored. Talk all you want about me. I've been learning to ignore. Don't talk about facts if you know you ain't sure. Let's talk about the reasons why we can't stop wars. Don't talk about it. Talk about it. Don't talk about it. Talk about it. Don't talk about. Talk about. 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 Don't talk about the trees and how you raided our shores. Disease for every season. Let's talk about the cures. You don't want to talk about the properties of ore, the minerals and elements and what it's used for. Oh, don't talk about that. It's organic and pure. Talk about how the apple rottens you to the core. Don't talk about how radiation seeps through the pores. All we do is talk about the bloodshed and gore. Don't talk about it. Talk about it. Don't talk about it. Talk about it. Don't talk about. Talk about. 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 Talk a good game, but I leave it on the floor. Talk some respect on my name before your skull get bored. And I PVR that shit, so don't talk about the score. Some say I talk too much, but I never stop talk. That I assure. Don't talk about waking up the line if you don't want to hear it roar. No need to talk about the time she was acting like a whore. But let's talk about that thing on your lip right before I let you draw my split. That's looking like a sword. You could wait on the tail or twist this side or yeah, you better talk quick. Trust won't be restored. Don't talk about the plans of what we got in store. Then let me hear you talk sideways about my boy Jam McGlure. Huh? My boy Jam McGlure. Don't let me hear you talk sideways about my boy Jam McGlure. What? Do your chores.
I know who this nigga's talking to. I know you ain't talking to me. You can be talking to me because you think you're high and mighty. Who are you to tell everybody what to do and who to tell? Who are you to judge, jury, and executioner? I know I talk when I want to talk. I do, say, talk, speak when I want to speak. How, when, what, why? Don't tell me what to do, nigga. You don't know me. Who the motherfucker you think you is? You can't talk to me. This is a Harlem speech.
Hell's hot, but get cold when it's winter. My earth takes a break, quake cities off the cliff, down deep sea into mountain, continental shift. The continent could drown, but rip these more. Think not, you don't know what I'm into, where I'm at. It's all in the mental, smack all instrumental around me. It's all about my circle squared up, but my nature fear not. Love bravely, am I didn't make her. She made me to create her. Well, the home she in, shape her skin, contain her frame, no minor. She a major win, angel and grew up educated on the demons, veiny, scaly wings, angel paper bullshit, the motherfucker that got nothing to back. Negro black colored on the chopper block, still on the block shopping, whatever they rap, rob, recover the chop, the world's shaking. Still my words, you take it in, hear me speaking out your ear holes. How can you retain a quote? Stop, your brains bang, shot, but still you won't crow. Commander in chief. Masters turn sheep at the battle. And stay chattel to eat. And wool for my white beats. At times a werewolf, they attack me and turn food towards the garden. Water make the black sea. Black male, black coat, black blue. Black face, black ball, black shoe. Black male, black cheese, black news. There's no such thing as black man. Black male, black coat, black blue. Black face, black ball, black shoe. Black face, black cheese, black news. But no such thing as a black man. Roses all red, green, gun, copper shot, pop, bust, and he left, didn't leave no weeds, no seeds. I'm his skull and his backbone ripped with his voice tone, moms are saying a heartbeat, consanguinity though. Got some book bites, that was civil. I get you with my pen, no more dog fights or scribbles. Enforcing treaties, I'm a caustic greedy. dressed in costumes to greet me. You think you know how this is gonna end? Really? Show the beginning. Apocalypse now, the dead don't know about the living. Why I can't kill them? Why I try to lift them? Stand. More mass don't make you a bigger man. It's mental. Just keep going. Black man, black gold, black blue. Just keep going. Black home, black blue. Black tail, black cheese, black news. Just keep going. Black man. Black tail, black coat, black blue. Black face, black home, black blue. Black tail, black cheese, black news. But no such thing as a black man.
There's a lot more. Peace and love. We're here once again because just because, like we said, it seems all right on the surface. It seems all right on the surface. Till you start studying. And when you start studying, you start realizing that these people have been playing you from all the black stuff, even up to the Moorish paradigm, people playing you. And they're playing you out of your own right. That you're supposed to have at birth. There's a lot more.
Islam.
You just queue up.
It's done on self. It's done on self, Mo. Islam.
And thank you again. And I'm confident that you answered the question, especially about the importance of nationality for anyone who's wavering or just still curious as to why we're always talking about that, and especially the insight that you shared on Palestinians and the PLO. I know I hadn't made that connection before, and I'm sure some others are hearing that for the first time. So thank you again.
There's a lot more. I know you wanted to touch on that one.
On the PLO?
Yeah, yeah.
Palestine?
Yeah.
Islam. I want to go back on the fact that the PLO and Palestine situation, that's canon. In the first place. Secondly,
hold on. Say that again, because you broke up right there when you started.
First of all, that's canon. That has nothing to do with Palestine at all. And he said it too, that it was Palestine, the PLO formed the organization. That tells you right then and there that Palestine is a corporation dealing with membership. That proves right then and there that, again, anything that they do in comparisons with is with membership. So if they do a comparison with membership itself, they doing is membership. Mm-hmm. They couldn't be doing nothing else. And then, PLO, exactly. Secondly, it's a corporation. But that's anciently, that land there is canon. In that land also, they have a more.
Yo, you're breaking up.
I said, in that land that they call Palestine, they have a Moorish gate.
Yep.
But that's canon. And like you said, they formed the organization. He told you they formed the organization and made it up. But then again, that's why they're using examples of organizations and memberships to deal with clubism.
To try to justify where they're coming from.
Right. To try to show that, oh, the membership clubism is the thing to do.
And
not
also,
trying to deal.
Also too, let me put this on the record too. That you see how we talk about in, you know, our inception into this, and there wasn't any dirty Moors like how you have today, just dirty Moors everywhere, right? Now it was the same thing with the temple, that they weren't out like that promoting Moorish Science Temple. You know what I mean? Because around that time, that was when the whole thing of active Moors was really something. Because everybody thought that being a Moor was limited to what these people are doing in this place called Moorish Science Temple, till they went somewhere and met a Moor who's telling them, like, what do you mean? What do you mean be part of the temple because I'm a Moor? What do you mean? What do you mean by that? Yeah, because well, those guys over there have Moorish Science Temple, and you know, like, aren't you part of that? No, I'm not part of that. I'm not part of those guys. I'm part of it, but I'm not part of them. But I wasn't there.
Yeah. It always goes back to didn't the Moor have to build the Moorish Science Temple in order for it Moorish? A Moor would have to have built it first. It couldn't just appear and become Moorish Science Temple. A Moor had to build the Moorish Science Temple first.
Yep.
In order, because you couldn't be black, you couldn't be African American, whatever, colored, and then build a Moorish Science Temple. That's fraudulent. So you have to be a Moor by bloodline, consanguinity.
Right, just like the Moor said, right? You can't have Canaan have a Jew gate or a Hebrew gate or a black gate. It has to have a Moor's gate.
Right.
Because Moors are descendants of the ancient Canaanites.
It's a shame.
Right. And then also remember that obviously he's on the side with the Ashkenazis because he didn't even bring up the fact that these people stole these people's land. Talking about they got somewhere to go now. How about they have a home right now? You know? Didn't even bring up the fraud because he already knows that, you know.
Yep. That lets you know who they're siding with too.
Don't forget who was the ones that went to CM Bay. Who was the ones that showed CM Bay the safe with everything in it that he turned down? It was those Ashkenazis.
Yep.
You know. And Islam to the trap muftis. Because I see that one that came up, he's gone quick fast. Islam to the trap muftis for not playing with people out here.
And we still gotta stress the fact too that there's nothing wrong with the temple. It's just the people who running it.
Yep. Nothing's wrong with the temple. Temple's perfect. And my thing still is, you know, how come I had to come find you?
Right.
If I know about you and I and all that stuff, people used to be part of that, give us flyers. No. They got some comedic whatever, people used to be part of something. They'll let you know. Marcus Garvey's mentioned in Noble Drew Ali's stuff, and we don't hear about Noble Drew Ali. You know how crazy that is? That bothered me for months. That bothered me for months. Really deep. Like, really bothered me. That how do I know about all these people and this man's name never came up? Nowhere, ever. How is it I'm finding out about him? How come this thing's not promoted like Garvey's promoted? And Booker T. Washington's promoted? And whoever else that you know about that did something for our people. When you bring up Noble Drew Ali up, everybody's looking around. When all of them know. And like we said, even the ones that know, the ones who have fezzes and turbans, they just want to get you to join the organization when that's not what this is about. This is about us being a nation of people. And being a nation of people in real time. Dan said he brought everything it takes to save a nation. People took it, played around.
And I have another question too for also for newcomers to this information. Would you please shed some light on the difference between rights and privileges as it pertains to our people here in North America?
Absolutely. Yes, rights and grant, like the prophet says, granted privileges. And, you know, it's an election. It's an election that's coming up, okay? On Tuesday. And the prophet, I was just telling a brother earlier today after Sunday school, you know, he had questions about our beliefs in what we do as Moors. And I let him know.
Now that's the thing too. The question was rights and privileges. Now he said grants and privileges. Does anybody know? They can put it in the chat too, or grant sheet. Do you ever heard the prophet say grants and privileges?
Just pull that up.
Generality means most, the bulk of it. That's labor. That's the work kind is undisciplined. All right. You
on the difference between rights and privileges as it pertains to our people here in North America.
Absolutely. Yes. Rights and grant, like the prophet says, granted privileges.
Oh,
and,
granted.
You know, it's an election.
Yeah, granted privileges.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he said granted.
Grant. Oh, he said granted privileges?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Right, well, let's see if that's even in here. Granted privileges. Black's Law Dictionary. Grant, to bestow, to confer upon someone other than the person or entity which makes the grant. A conveyance, transfer of property, real or personal, by deed or writing. A generic term applicable to all transfers of real property. A transfer by deed of that which cannot be passed by livery. An act evidenced by letters patent under the grant seal, granting something from the king to a subject. As distinguished from a mere license, a grant passes some estate or interest, corporeal or incorporeal, in the lands which it embraces. Private grant, public grant. Granted privileges.
Election that's coming up, okay, on Tuesday. And the prophet, I was just telling a brother earlier today at the Sunday school, you know, he had questions about our beliefs and what do we do as Moors. And I let him know that, you know, we're not a dropout culture. You know, we get involved because we follow the prophet. The prophet was involved and he controlled the politics of his community. And when you control the politics of your community, you control the economics of your community.
Now, there's a difference between controlling the politics in the community to the perspective of what Noble Drew Ali was doing, and being recognized by somebody in de facto power as doing something beneficial to the community. There are two big differences. So when they always bring up this thing about, well, Noble Drew Ali voted, so we're going to vote. Your vote better be for somebody who is in there that's saying they're Moorish American, that are standing up for certain principles that you put in their ear, that they already know that they're going to back you with whatever it is that when they get that spot, they're going to do. Now, if you're going to go vote and dude has 5% chance of winning or whatever, then you're wasting your goddamn time. Why even vote? Because your guy is not going to win anyways. And if you are voting, you should be voting in your own stuff with your own people who are running for something. Again, that's why Noble Drew Ali gave certain people certain titles, so that people could have a reference point as to what it is that, like, if Noble Drew Ali said, I'm going to keep the European here long enough to teach you government, then what the hell is the end all and be all for Moors when the European says, hey, all right, we taught you, and they leave? Us to be what? A corporation? Are you dumb? So we're going to go through all this just so that we could be some religious corporation that just opens temples all over the goddamn place. And not one business. And again, when it talks about talking about saying there's work to do and all that type of stuff, the work that has to be done is to wake up our people. When we were Negro black colored and we realized how the black guys were sellouts, And they really weren't about the liberation because they're getting grant money and pocketing everything, and they didn't even break us off anything. They know us. Like, they know us. We're from the community that we've been doing work. They came to our barbecues, came to our ball, whatever, came to our whatever that we did. They got grant and they didn't even break us off. We realized as black guys, we realized that, you know what? Forget what anybody says. The real deal is 4 people built the pyramids. 1 man built, everybody built a side. Because there's no way that our people see that blueprint and they're coming to help. They start talking about why they can't come help to freaking help build the pyramids. All of a sudden they got stuff to do. You're just sitting on the stoop smoking a blunt. All of a sudden you got a job and stuff like that. You can't come help build the pyramids. All of a sudden, all your car's full and you can't carry stuff. So it's very few people that when they hear the call, they actually get to the duties that need to be taken care of. And Noble Drew Ali heard the call. And for people to have the perspective that they're going to go vote for some municipal whoever, and just because he looks like them, he's not Moorish American or nothing like that. Because I ain't see no, when I go check, because I go check see who these Moors telling people go vote for. I don't see no Bays and L's and stuff on there. So who they voting for?
Corporate citizenship.
I get the concept. I mean, I get it. You know, if your vote as a Moor has that much sway that whoever goes in is gonna do your every, then fine. It was worth voting for that guy. But don't tell me that you went, you voted, and then after the stuff, we're still going through the same problems that we're going through if we didn't vote for this guy. Right? So we get it with the voting. But if that's a corporation that has nothing to do with you, and Noble Drew Ali came to teach you government, and he said he's going to keep the European here long enough for us to learn government. When the European leaves, we should be able to run government. Which in our case, being that we're matriarchal, this is just going to be a society. This is just going to be the Moors living like they've been living. Every European that had a certain post or whatever that you think they were ruling something, okay, a Moor is there now. That's qualified just like the European. So, yeah, I have no issues. I'm going to get Pookie Bay to go be the governor of something. And then also, too, like, the time that Noble Drew Ali was in, what he was doing on an international scale, everybody was picking up on it. This wasn't just some little thing. Like we said yesterday, the world knows that the founder of Islam in America is Noble Drew Ali. For these so-called people who came out of slavery and they didn't have their culture and they didn't have this, they didn't have that, the only individual that everybody who respects any type of religious ideology, they know. But they found out later that this thing was bigger than some religion. It wasn't some religion, whatever. That's not what it was after. Why do you think they infiltrated and all that? Because this was not just wear some pin and some badge so people could see you wear that and then that's all. This was us taking our place once again as the honorable people that everybody knows that we are, because everybody studies our history to know who we are and to know who we're not. So as soon as we start acting like we're not, they already know that they got us. Now again, these religiousized people, these people who, again, you have this idea of go vote. Now, if the individual you're voting for as a Moor is in your back pocket, then you'll vote. If you know for sure he's gonna win, you're not speculating, hope that the people come out to vote and all that stuff. Don't forget, Noble Drew Ali had hundreds of thousands of people backing him. So for him to say, yeah, we're gonna vote for that guy, they're winning. They're not losing. What do you think Oscar the Priest won? But then what did they say? Oh, he's the first black whatever. So denationalized him and buried him in history. Because now he's just some black Congress whatever, first black whatever. When they got pictures with him and Noble Drew Ali, what you mean he was a black whatever? They had pictures with him and Drew Ali. When they say Dr. Roman of Meharry Medical College, Charles V. Roman. Go look up Charles V. Roman. Ask yourself, what the hell is he doing at the convention for the Moors? Attorney George W. Blackwell. Right? Look up George W. Blackwell. These people are going to come up. Ask yourself, what are they? How come they're at the Moorish convention? And if they're there, who else is there that didn't even make the shout-out list? In that case, yeah, vote. Because they're in your back pocket. They're in your back pocket. Many delegates from temples attended the annual convention. Why? Why many from all over? Because of some club? No, because of a club. That's why they went to a national convention, right? A club. So religious cooperation is why they went to a national convention. These people, you have anything there more?
No, you going in right now, Grand Sheik. You're going in. Real quick though, I advise people to look up those words, in Black Law Dictionary, the word election, the word voter, the word vote, and see if that is you. If that determines if they talking about you being a voter, quote unquote. Because I figure once you look up those words, you see if that's what you're actually doing, or if you're going down there to make a decision, on what's going to be done in your community. Now, especially nowadays, because we all know in 33, the money stuff was switched up. They started using Federal Reserve notes, but that was when the prophet was out of the scene. See, a lot of things too, that's why they say history and law go together. A lot of things were different when the prophet was around. Licenses didn't start coming around to 1935. Back then, you didn't have to have no license. So a lot of things was different. So like when that was going around, when the prophet was around, I figure if the stuff that they were voting for, the Moors were voting for at that time, it was still quote unquote de jure, especially with the prophet being around on the scene. Because in some situations, if you really do the history, you will look at the prophet like he was the sultan. He was the last sultan of Morocco.
Right. Okay. Quick one on this one. Right. Charles Ruman or Charles Roman. Right. Now, when you go through the literature, for example, because these people tried to play you, trust me. They had Dr. Roman of Merhafri Medical College. Merhafry. Right? That's doctored. Someone did that, so you can't know how vast this was. Because it's supposed to be Meharry Medical College. There's nothing called Merhafri anything. Why is it in there? That's not just a misspell. And only because they messed up and put Nashville, Tennessee. Why I was able to make the correction. Right? And then you go even to Quran. We used to do Quran classes over the phone. We just do a chapter a day, and we'll just break it down. And the more has a Quran, I have a Quran, and we're going through the stuff, and there's weird stuff that's messed up, different words. Like, yo, where do you get yours from? Oh yeah, mine's from the temple, whatever. Where's yours from? The temple. You know what I mean? Realize that people played with this, messed this thing totally up. But what Pardon
the interjection real quick.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Can you speak? What were you saying about Tennessee again?
Merhafri Medical College is what it says in the Moorish literature.
Okay.
But it's supposed to be Meharry.
Right.
Medical College.
I want to add on to that. I just got a new book today called The Origins of Everything, right? It says, page 24, now I'm adding on to the Grand Sheik was just saying, it says places and landmarks, state capitals. The capitals of more than half of the 50 United States were once somewhere else. some states move their capitals for conveniences or political gain. Now, it has a list of all the quote-unquote states and their capitals. Now, what you said with Tennessee, right? The capital of Tennessee was called Murfreesboro. That was the name of that's the name of the capital of Tennessee. Murfreesboro. That's the capital of Tennessee. That was what it was, because, like they said, it's been switched.
Yeah, it's been switched. Right? It's been switched. And that's the people they're telling you go vote for. People switching out your ancient ancestral stuff to put in some folly.
Right.
Not the people who are standing for the law. Not the people who are with, you know, nationality and birthrights for everyone. No, they connect with the club. They connect with the club.
Yep.
And then play the club game on you.
Yep. Tell you to be recognized as a Moor, you got to come through the temple. That's insane. You know how insane that sounds? For you to be recognized as a Moor, you have to come through the temple. And in the same breath, if you listen to the thing, to the interview, he talks about the sundry free Moors. He talks about Moors that predate the temple many a times. And so they actually know the history. They know it well. But they still only tie it, oh, if you don't come through the Moor Science Temple, then you won't be recognized. Knowing that there's a prehistory before all of that.
Yeah.
That's what makes us our ancient forefathers and foremothers. Our bloodline, consanguinity, not membership. That doesn't make that. It doesn't make that. It can't. Our blood is what makes us who we are.
Exactly. Right. And like the Moor said, you know, where he's at, there's a temple that's doing that. The exact words that you said is what that temple's doing, where he's at. Right? So again, this is where it gets into making sure that you're getting from sources that give you reference points. Because you have to piece this thing together for yourself. You know what I mean? I wasn't burning no midnight oil trying to figure this out or whatever, but I put some we put some time into freaking, you know what I mean? Things making sense. You know what I mean? And of course, you know, the ancestors making stuff fall in your lap that just fell in your lap because, you know, you had to know. You know? And this can be for all of our people. Like, this can be for all of our people. They can benefit from this if they were to take this serious. Oh, like we said, we already know how the play goes to keep them in their state of where they're at, opposed to the state of where they should be or where they are going. The work that we do as Moors and doing it for the upliftment of our people is like stirring the cauldron, you know, and seeing the image form. You know what I mean? Seeing the image appear in the crystal ball when it was just a crystal ball. People would think whatever they think, but trust me, like when you have, there's some Moors, there's some Moors at the temple, and there's some Moors at the temple that their energy is due. Like it's not think about whatever, and it's about do. Oh, we could run. All right, let's do it and get it done. As a Moor, as somebody who knows about their nationality and birthrights, and then the Moors that are on that level, those Moors would get together and do something in 2 days or whatever. So we know this thing could be done. We know that all we have to do is put it on paper and it's going to manifest. Because that's what we did, manifest what we got right now. You know? This thing could change around, but it's not going to change around when people are being swayed opposed to walking the straight and narrow. There's too much being swayed going on. You know what I mean? Like again, Moors, and it's crazy that we have the museum, because we have a section where it's just the Canaanland events pictures, and there's people who came in like, yeah, I know that individual or whatever like that. Oh yeah, where you know that from? Oh yeah, they were telling me about Moors and telling me about that, telling me about that, and this and that and about Moors. They never told you about this place. No, they never mentioned it. No, interesting. They tell you about anything? Yeah, well, they told me about, some websites, and they told me about some temples that are, real temples and fake temples and whatever. Like, oh, okay, that's interesting. It's real interesting. We haven't seen that person around here in about 2 years. It's interesting that you would be in here and see that and point out that fact that what it is that we're doing is really to keep Moors on the faithful, keep Moors on the loyal, keep Moors on the righteous, keep Moors on the, you know what I mean? Like, don't think you have to succumb to the niggerness, like, and denationalize yourself. You could be a Moor. The niggerness wouldn't affect you like that. But only if you look at it as this is yours. And because it's yours, you're going to take care of it. Not going to abuse it. How do you abuse it? Again, people didn't look at the temple as theirs. You don't know what he said is theirs. They didn't look at it as theirs. They looked at it as, oh, the guy who's paying the rent, or the guy who's putting the rent money, or the guy who went and got the building, or it's his. No, it's not. It belongs to the people. Just like the birthright. Anything that comes from birthright belongs to the people. And so we're going back again to
and the prophet, he was so powerful, you know, that in order to get elected at that time in Chicago, you had to have the okay from the prophet. The prophet had 3,000 Moors voting in one direction. That can make or break any election. So just real quick, you know, crash course, if you will, the Civil War, okay? And just to be clear, a lot of this sovereign ideology, it's not the prophets, it's not Moorish. What it is, it comes from Europeans who were upset that they lost the Civil War. European Southerners who were upset that they lost the Civil War. All of this, you know, anti-government rhetoric that we at times hear. It doesn't.
right. So again, you know, they're doing their little SPLC operation. We told you only SPLC talks like that. Only SPLC says, oh, active Moors? Oh no, those guys aren't active Moors. Those Moors are sovereign citizens. And those Moors are following some Europeans that lost the Civil War, that wanted their sovereignty back, and they started shooting up the place and saying that they're anti-government or whatever like that. That's not what active Moors are about. What did you hear? That's not what active Moors are about. So to say that, and remember, this is Moor Science Temple of America talking. You know that this thing is a campaign, because Morisco World TV talks the same way, and Ali's Men talks the same way, and Atsikata Nation talks the same way. And anybody who has any type of BS to say about Moors all talk the same way. Moors are sovereign citizens. How much times are you going to keep using an oxymoron as legitimate?
Right.
And remember, he's going directly against the Prophet. Noble Ali in the Quran told you about sovereignty. Noble Ali told you about it. Why did he tell you? What was the purpose? What was the purpose of him telling you? Now listen to this carefully. Open your goddamn ears and pay attention. Noble Ali said we are a nation. These people are saying that Moors that are active are sovereign citizens and anti-government. All right. No, remember, Noble Ali said we are a nation. Black's Law Dictionary. Nation. A people or aggregation of men existing in the form of an organized jural society, usually inhabiting a distinct portion of the earth, speaking the same language, using the same customs, possessing historic continuity, and distinguished from other like groups by their racial origin and characteristics, and generally, but not necessarily, living under the same government and sovereignty. That's what nation means. So if nation means that, and Noble Ali said, you are a nation, doesn't that mean you have sovereignty?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you have sovereignty, then how are people who have the same flag as me, that they say I'm anti-government or whatever like that, are talking against sovereignty when we're a nation? Oh yeah, that's because they're part of the sellout.
Yeah.
They're part of the Mark Fez Moors who like to play around like they have some authority when there's mealy L letters till the cows come home talking about Kirkman Bay is a fraud. You think they didn't kill people to be in the seat that they're in? Now they're playing church with you?
Yep.
They're playing club games with you? These people are going to call themselves Grand Sheik and then they have a pistol in their drawer talking about having it in their hand and talking to Moors with the pistol while they're talking BS about certain people that we would say are active Moors. You have divine ministers telling people that he's a Moorish American, so he's too good for a woman.
Mm.
Divine ministers talking crazy like that are out here right now.
But he's too good for a woman. I thought we was matriarch.
Hey, you know, not every Moor is your brother.
That's a sellout too. That's a sellout too. That's against the principles.
Directly against the principles. Just like
the prophet was talking to women.
Yep, just like talking against sovereignty is against the principles.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Oh, let's go in on that, Green Sheik. Because I heard you go in, because another thing too, in law, what they're doing is, that's why when he was speaking about nationality, he didn't want to read the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I was glad you read it the other day. But we can go over it again real quick. This in nationality, the last part, the second part of nationality, where it says nationality determines the political status. Now, real quick. Okay, we're going to go back to status, right? Of the individual, especially with reverence to allegiance, right? Now, that's another thing they did. They gave up their allegiance to someone else. In Black's Law Dictionary, an allegiance is the citizen or subject owes an absolute and permanent allegiance to his government or sovereign until he becomes a citizen or subject of another government or another sovereign. So that's in law. They gave up their allegiance. That's why he didn't want to read the rest of it. Because if they have their allegiance to the Moroccan Empire, to the Moors, to their bloodline, then they wouldn't be calling us sovereign citizens, whatever. They're going against their own people. They give their allegiance to them. Just by definition.
Yep.
You can tell just by the slander they put on everything that we say. They're telling you, showing you. He even said it. We lost the war, so we might as well go ahead and get into that political arena. That right there, he just told you, I gave my allegiance to them. That's treason.
Yep, that is supreme treason. High treason.
That's treason.
Yep. And remember, they're saying this from the seat of the government.
Yep.
Because if you got Grand Sheik, you're government. Like I said, no separation between church and state. That's why a Grand Sheik is a divine minister.
Yeah.
So that's government. That's not some organizational, religious, whatever. That's Moorish American government. Grand Sheiks, Grand everybody, Supreme Grands, Grand Council, all that is the government.
And they gave their allegiance to somebody else, to the democracy.
Read the thing again. Read the thing again that you just read. Because it said it in there that they gave up their sovereignty for something else.
Allegiance, page 99, Black's Law Dictionary. Citizen or subject owes an absolute and permanent allegiance to his government, or sovereign until he becomes a citizen or subject of another government.
Right. So sovereign until he becomes a citizen or subject of another government. So it has to be a sovereign that has allegiance. Because if it's not a sovereign, then it's a citizen or subject of another government, which is what they are claiming. Why them even putting it out there that they're naturalizing, or that they're U.S.A citizens, or anything like that. They're letting you know that they don't have sovereignty. That's why they say we're anti-sovereign, because they don't have any. They gave theirs up.
To somebody else.
And guess what? Not only did they give up their sovereignty, but now the so-called enemy is using that to keep the people in perpetual mental servitude that they're supposed to be free from by now, because Nobujuali came freaking.
You know what that remind me of? The video you put up earlier. One of the Sultan of or the Emperor Granada or whatnot.
Yeah.
He took the check.
Yeah. Yep.
And his mother spit on him.
Spit on him.
Disgrace to his family, to his bloodline.
Mom spit on him. Said, "You're a disgrace."
You're a disgrace.
Why? People talk to you, and then that's even part of the fraud. So that means that there was no conquering of anything. They didn't kick no Moors out of no Spain.
Nope.
A sellout gave up the key.
The check.
A sellout took the check.
Yep.
That's how they got Granada.
That's amazing.
Amazing that they didn't freaking defeat any Moors. For all those Moors who are talking about they got defeated, so we better be part of the whatever. No, one of you bastards' ancestors sold it out. That's why you're talking crazy right now. You're the ones. You're here today. That's how long ago y'all been Moors. Before you didn't need no temple, talking crazy. You've been Moors since you sold out and took the check. In 1493, you were posing.
Your own mother spit on you.
Your own mother spit on you, black devils. Your own mother spit on you because you sold out.
He told you this. I told you in that video. That's a great video. He said it. The Moors kicked Spain's behind 10 years before that. It wasn't nothing. We kicked their behind. We kicked their behind. He said it. The Moors kicked their behind 10 years before the fall of Granada. We kicked their behind. And then sellout came, took the check. It wasn't nothing. We could have kicked them behind again. We just did it.
Right, and then that's on the pinhole scale. That's what Nobujuali and the sellout is. On the world stage, when we look at this thing, it's always a sellout before the European or the whoever the colonizer is could get a foothold. Same thing with Nobujuali. And these people that we're listening to are the sellouts. Go check their website. They're Kirkman Bay Moors. They're Sultan on the Fez Moors. How is he the Sultan if Noble Drew Ali was that? How is he that? How are you below Noble Drew Ali as his interpreter or whatever? And then you're the Sultan? These are the same Moors who were telling these people not to read the stuff to be read every meeting.
Yeah. They pick and choose what we can read and what we can't read. You know, oh, that was left in the past. You know, we're not going to use that back in the past. But everything they teach is from the prophet. That was from the past.
Exactly. So what do you mean? We're not going to look at certain things from the past. Only the prophet stuff? That's it? You're tripping. You Moors are tripping. Serious problems.
And again, and oh yeah, in nationality, it also says status, right? Status, if you look up status in Black's Law Dictionary, I just had it. Status also deals with a state. Right. Status, page 1580. That's why they didn't want to completely read it. Because status on page 1580, Black's Law Dictionary, status says at the second paragraph, it says it also means a state because it signifies the condition or circumstances in which one stands with regard to his property. So it also means a state. And then when you go look up a state, now a state, go right to it. A state. The state says a state, 6 Black's Law Dictionary, is degree, quantity, nature, and extent of interest which a person has in real property. It's usually referred to it as an estate, and it varies from absolute ownership down to naked possession. Court case. In another sense, estate designates the property, real or personal, in which one has the right or interest, the subject matter of ownership, the corpus of property. Thus we speak of valuable estate, all my estate, separate estate, trust estate, etc. This also is its meaning in the classification of property into real estate and personal estate. All right. Now, in the Bouvier Law Dictionary, the Valentine's Law Dictionary, page 418, it says a state is a person's degree or rank in life. That's why they didn't want to read. That's why he didn't want to read the whole thing. Not only does it deal with real property, or whatnot, it also says a person's degree or rank in life. If you just stop at where he was trying to go in just at character, your estate, he just left that out. That determines your degree and rank in life in law.
Yep.
That's why again, the prophet is the man for bringing us back our nationality.
Yeah.
And then told us you Moors are just rich right after.
You're so rich. You don't even know what you got. Because we've been caught up in the illusions. Islam to the 55 Moors making the 5 gateways right now that we're opening.
Right.
Islam. Ashe.
Doesn't belong to us. I actually read a case where this brother, he was trying to demonstrate sovereignty in a court. And the judge told him, he says, do you know that this ideology that you follow comes from people who hate you? That was heavy. That was really heavy.
Right? So they use the example of a case where a judge told a brother, not a Moor or whatever, just a brother. He's saying sovereign citizen. The context that he's talking, we know that it was a brother that went to court. So judge told him, hey, don't you know that what you're standing on was created by people who hate you? Now, I'm looking at that like the judge is pretty much telling him that he's black. That's the only reason why somebody would hate somebody, if they're playing the race games. Now, second thing is, was this even a judge? And if there is no delegated authority for this individual who made this claim against this individual that was in his tribunal, then that would mean that whatever claim he made is illegitimate, notwithstanding.
And this is the voice of the Moors calling so-called judge a judge, and then using mental slavery for an example. He's trying to trick the people by saying this brother went in there. When Moors here, they thinking, oh, it must have been a Moor or something that went in there and tried to do the same stuff, applying the same things other Moors been trying to do when they went into the tribunal or whatnot and try to apply the law and exercise their birthright. And he tried to put that guy who went in there, probably thinking so-called black guy, and doing something he didn't know what he was doing, and applied that to Moorish birth. He tried to do that's crazy how he just tried to apply it like that, and that's proof right there. Your own putting you back into slavery. That's no different than people implying that Corin Gaines got killed by active Moors asking for delegation of authority orders. Right, it's the same thing. Same thing. And he read the definition of nationality. Yep. That means he knows that that's not a judge. He knows that the municipalities, those are all corporations. If you got a Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition, you know all of that. You know all of that. And he's still going to say, oh, and the judge told him, the so-called, that they hate you, and he still tried to play that game. Oh, yeah. And don't forget that that's also the black game. Yep. Right? Because remember, the black guys always play that game that when the Moors bring out books, or that came from the white man or whatever. Yep. Yep. How come these Moors are playing the black game? Are they really Moors, really? Who are these people? Why are they playing the black game with the birthright? The black game, remember, we're talking about sovereignty, right? We're talking about sovereign. These Moors are saying that something sovereign in America came from a European. Who's not from America? That's either sellout or incompetence. Which one you think it is? Is that sellout or is that incompetence? Don't forget he's Divine Minister, Grand Sheik, and all that stuff. Went through Arab. That's why it's high treason. That's why it's high treason. Came through the Moorish Science Temple from birth. Yep. Came through the Moorish Science Temple of America from birth. How close else do you want it that your own is going to sell you out? Been in it since birth.
Been in it since birth. I wish I was in the temple since birth. Not that I wish I was a Moor since birth. I wish I was in the temple since birth. It didn't happen that way. So no crying over spilled milk. But we know that people playing games out here. Straight selling you out. Your own is going to put you back into slavery. Drew already told you. Did you listen to him? Did you take what he said serious?
And it's true. Look up the Posse Comitatus, okay? William Potter Gale. This sovereign teaching is actually a Christian identity teaching. It's true. Look, like I said, be what you know. Look it up for yourself. So the prophet, you know, he taught us about civics, okay? That there was a civic agenda in the Moorish Science Temple of America. And once again, you know, with nationality and divine creed is connected. You can look up the word Quran in Black's Law Dictionary. A lot of people don't know this. You can find the word Quran spelled with a K in Black's Law Dictionary. And it says it is a Muhammadan book of faith that contains both ecclesiastical and secular law. So it's religious law and it's also civics that are embedded in the Quran, the book in which we, the Moorish Science Temple of America, derive our power and authority from, to propagate the faith and extend the learning and truth of the great prophet of Ali in America. The prophet wasn't no joke, Mo. He wasn't no joke. So the Civil War was over in 1865. 1866 was the first time you saw civil rights. A lot of people don't know this, Mo. They think civil rights is from the 1960s. The origin of civil rights is found in 1866 and 1875. And also what they don't know is that these civil rights, the Civil Rights Act of 1866 and 1875, was declared unconstitutional in 1883. So what happened 3 years later, Almighty sent the prophet. That's powerful, Mo. So in the 60s, with our people, you know, they're marching and they're picketing and they want civil rights, the Voting Rights Act. Okay? What that is a granted privilege. Okay, that's what that is.
So the Civil Rights Act was unconstitutional, but the Voting Rights Act is legitimate?
Oh. Cause that's the way they can vote. So-called black.
So again, playing the black game. You must be playing the black game. Because this is it's too orchestrated. They've been doing this for so long that they have their game tight. Their spit game is so tight.
They're the best.
These people are finesse masters. They know how to lull you.
Right.
Know exactly how to lull you. Right? Like again, talking about
same Moors.
Go ahead, Mark.
Those are the same Moors that promote that we can't. We're the descendants of the slaves that came off of the slave ship. The Muslims that came off of the Moors Muslim, so-called, you know, but the Moors that came off of the ships, that's who they say we came from. You know, they know about the Moors that were here. They know that history, but they tied themselves to the ones that came off of the slave ship. They still play the black game, like you said. They still play it for 400 years. They still play that game. They don't see this as being the Moroccan Empire. They don't like to try to play that game, even though the evidence proves it. They don't like.
Yeah, because as soon as they say Moroccan Empire, that means they don't need for a temple.
Mm-hmm.
Temple doesn't serve the purpose like what they're making it look like it serves anymore. It'll go back to its original purpose: teach the people, an institution for the people to go learn about their birthrights and their nationality and their divine creed.
It says in one of the slides that the prophet got rid of the treaty once he established the Moorish Science Temple of America. He got rid of the treaty. How, you know, the prophet who told you to enforce the Constitution abandoned Article 6. He was like, no, we don't need Article 6 anymore. I set up the Moorish Science Temple, but I still want you guys to enforce the Constitution. Like no. Where did he get that from? And he just says it too. Like, it's so simple. Like, oh, the prophet, once he established the temple, the treaty was no longer in use. You didn't need it anymore. That's amazing.
Yeah, super.
When the treaty is a part of the Constitution.
Yeah.
How did what the prophet told you to enforce?
Yeah. But again, you know, this is that thing too, that because of the amount of information that we've been putting out to show the folly that they're gonna come with, they gotta come with stuff now. They gotta say things to bait people. That's why he threw the thing in there about the sovereign citizen. So I already know that was a slick diss.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they be begging for Taj to come to their whatever. But then they're gonna do the little shows and the little blog talks or whatever and talk BS about sovereignty. When they're talking to their own little minions or whatever, who are already down with that programming that they've instilled in them, to accept the fact, to accept the fact that they say that's a fact.
The 14th Amendment, the 14th Amendment, 1865, the 15th Amendment, 1868, the 13th Amendment, 1865, pardon me. The 14th Amendment, 1868. The 15th Amendment was 1870. The 15th Amendment of 1870 is dealing with the right to vote. So if unconscious Asiatics had the right to vote, what were you marching for in the 60s? Trying to get Voting Rights Act. And even in you have the 19th Amendment for women. So that did not pertain to our people who were not recognized as full-fledged citizens. A privilege, the main difference between a right and a privilege is that a privilege can be taken away from you at any moment. Okay? The rights that we have, it comes from Allah. Okay? But the power is with the people. The government gets its rights secondhand.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm glad he said, okay, right.
Oh.
Right.
So hold on a second.
This is why we say they slick. He's real good with his words.
They're real slick. Now tell me if this sounds like this. Now let's just listen to this again. So these people are finesse masters, but only because we study, that we see below the surface.
Amendment of 1870 is dealing with the right to vote. So if unconscious Asiatics had the right to vote, what were you marching for in the 60s? Trying to get Voting Rights Act. And even in the 19th Amendment for women. So that did not pertain to our people who were not recognized as full-fledged citizens. A privilege, the main difference between a right and a privilege is that a privilege can be taken away from you at any moment.
Right? A privilege can be taken away from you at any moment.
Mm-hmm. Okay? The rights that we have, it comes from Allah. Okay? But the power is with the people.
So the power is with the people. Right? The power is with the people, he said. That's exactly what he said, right?
That's exactly what he said.
All right. O thou, the favorite of heaven, whom the Son of Men, the people, thy equals, have agreed to raise to sovereign power and set as a rule and set as a ruler over themselves. That's magistrate and subject in the Holy Quran with a K of the Moorish Science Temple, Moorish Holy Temple of Science. The only power there is sovereign power. If we're saying we're back in the Prophet, we're going to listen to the Prophet say, well, okay, Prophet told us the sovereign power. That's what power is. Nobody can say power without putting sovereign in front of it. If they say they're down with Noble Juali. Nobody can say power and their concept isn't sovereignty when they say power. Because that's in the Holy Quran. And you don't really hear power that much unless some TV show or some BS. Or put something on. So the power that the people have is their sovereignty. So they're going to talk slick when they're actually really quoting the Quran, but they're leaving stuff out in order to make their stuff sound good. Why did he leave out sovereign? He said the exact same thing that I just read. Only difference is that he kept sovereign out. Why did he keep sovereign out? Because they have agenda against active Moors who are exercising that sovereignty that these people don't want to see you exercise. Remember, it's not me that said it. He said it out of his own mouth, that he doesn't have sovereignty, but then he's going to quote things from Noble Juali that have sovereignty in it.
You know, so let's say it now. Yeah, because they'll say it. You know, yeah, the Prophet said sovereignty, but he didn't say sovereignty like that. What?
Yeah.
Like, that's what they'll say.
Yeah.
That's the next move.
Yep. Yeah.
That's the next move.
That's the next dodge. The next dodge is, oh yeah, well, he didn't mean that kind of sovereignty. What do you mean? That kind? Like, what do you mean? Oh, the kind that was created by the European posse comitatus. So they're not sovereign. This is not Europe. What do you mean? What do you mean they created some sovereign whatever? You sure you're a Grand Sheik and you went through the chamber and stuff like that? Because you people aren't talking like you went through chambers. You're talking crazy.
That's the other thing.
Because talking nuts. Again, Islam to the 65 people, which is 11. Islam. Woo! Energy's kicking. And F you to the thumbs downer. The one no-name whoever that never says anything in the chat. They just thumbs down and listen like a dummy. I know you're listening too.
Yep.
thumbs down and then stay here. Dummy. Government gets its rights secondhand. Remember, the record says that governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. We receive our rights from Almighty God, Allah Himself. And this is understanding how.
Islam more.
But these are the same Moors that promote license and taxes, and tell you know, do all of that. But he's telling you where you get your rights from. But when you go get a license, you go to a private entity who's pocketing Federal Reserve notes and giving you permission to be able to exercise your rights.
Yeah, because they're committing treason, converting that right into a privilege.
Right.
They're turning the right into a privilege.
Yep.
And then these Moors are telling you that you have some rights, but you're citizens of U.S. And they're talking about you could use some amendment after the 10th Amendment. Well, it's supposed to be 10 Bill of Rights, so what I understand. I don't know what the hell people are talking about.
I have no idea.
No constitutional convention, and you're altering constitution and adding stuff up to 29 stuff or whatever.
Yeah, after? I saw that. I saw a 22 or 22nd Amendment. That's a 22. I didn't know it was more than 10.
How civics work. This government, and you have certain Asiatics who say, well, this is the European government. They look at the Constitution. Oh, that's the European law. We have to study. We make some ignorant statements sometimes. The Prophet says that the Constitution is one of the greatest legal documents of all time. So for the Holy Prophet to say that, for me, I'm thinking it got to come from us. And you know what I did? I looked it up and found out that that came from us. The European comes from a feudal system, okay? Serfdom. He had no knowledge of a three branches of government, checks and balance system. He had no knowledge of that. A bicameral house, you know, Senate and House of Representatives. Benjamin Franklin in 1754 sat and met with what they called the Iroquois Confederacy. And he learned from the Iroquois, the so-called Iroquois Confederacy. I have to say so-called because these are not the actual names of those tribes who were Moors who were here during the pre-Columbian period. But he sat with them and he learned about what is known as the Gaya Nishagawa, which means the Great Law of Peace. That's the origin of the Constitution of the United States of America, the Great Law of Peace that was brought by way of a prophet, because there was a prophetic tradition here in the pre-Columbian America. Viganawida was a prophet that was sent to the Moors, the pre-Columbian Moors, who were here at that time warring against each.
Now, all these Moors he's talking about, right? Pre-Columbian. What temple did any of those Moors go to be recognized as Moors? Because he's the one that said you got to go to the temple to be a Moor, but he's talking about a bunch of Moors that predate the temple. I would like to know what temple they went through to be those Moors that he keeps calling Moors.
Oh, they're in America, but they're not Moorish American. They're just Moors, is what they're gonna say. Because they didn't go through the temple, so they're not Moorish American. Because Moorish American comes from the temple. Moroccan American comes from the temple.
Right, they're Moorish Native Americans. They'll say something slick. I'm telling you, they'll say something slick. They're slick. Moorish Indians. Oh, okay. That's that. You're a Moor. You're just not a Moorish American.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah, we'll get to your 55 minutes in that one. So I don't know much more of this I could take.
Yeah, the folly in that video is crazy.
Crazy. I didn't even know it was this crazy.
Yeah,
I didn't even watch. Like, only because you said watch, I watched some like, whoa, these guys are freaking serious. You guys are going off with it. They're going off with it.
When anybody put the prophet on the table, stand down. Stand down. They put the prophet on the table, stand down. Don't go back and forth and argue and try to make your point. Stand down. Because the prophet, he was Allah's prophet. And a prophet is a thought of Allah manifested in the flesh. So the words of the prophet are the words of Almighty God Allah himself. That's how merciful Almighty God Allah is. He knows that we can be so undisciplined because Allah speaks to all of us in a still small voice. He who hears is still. We all can access the still small voice, but Allah knows that a lot of us are so hard-headed and stiff-necked that we don't want to meditate. We don't want to still ourselves. We want to do all else. So what does Allah do? He shows mercy when he actually manifests his thought. He manifests his thought in flesh. Makes it a manifest is something that's made.
This is the church stuff right here.
That's why I went to it. I wanted you to hear that. So, and I didn't want to say that. I said I'm just gonna let it play, and I know he's gonna pick up on it.
Yo, this is that church stuff, bro. Like,
I know the more it's picked up on it in the chat, I know everybody picked up on that.
That is crazy.
Straight to church. He went straight to church.
Because everything that he's saying, and nothing wrong with what he's saying, is how you're relaying it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like how Stephen Jackson just called out Stephen A. Smith, talking about, why you always yelling? I mean, Marbury. Stephen Marbury just called out Stephen A. Smith, like, why you talk normal, bro? Like, why are you yelling and stuff? Like, nobody talks like that all the time.
Yep.
Nobody. You know what I mean?
Nobody.
And then, no, this man's talking calm and stuff now. Look at all weird, yo. Look at all weird. Like, why do you look like that? Marbury shut you up? That's what it was? Just like that? Easy like that? That's all it took?
Yep.
Oh, snap. You know what I mean? Might as well say something then. Might as well say something. So this pastor thing is, because it doesn't have to be said like this. Like, this can be said without like, listen to the emphasis parts is right where the pastor would emphasize.
Right.
Just listen. And again, and people, this is what people would say, right? Some people who've gone through the temple, and then they go to a Grand Sheik nature class, or they go to Ramiel, or they watch our class, or they always say that, oh man, how you do your stuff's not like in the temple. It's so much like church there. 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 That's what it is. I'm realizing it's how the message is being relayed. Like we're saying, they're quoting Noble Juali and stuff like that. So nothing's wrong with the temple. It's the people. And again, these people are finesse masters. Trust me, if you check some of these Grand Chiefs that are older, if they weren't born in the temple, they were a pastor before.
Oh yeah, finesse master.
They were a pastor before, or a preacher or something. Because some of them, they have it locked like that.
Holy Prophet was teaching the Moors. The Holy Prophet got the first Asiatic congressman elected in the 20th century. I always tell people, I said, Mo, you're not going to learn about that during Black History Month. Because you know what? It's not Black history. It's Moorish history. Okay? After John White in 1901, no Asiatics in Congress until the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali.
And like I was saying, right, think about it. That's a lie right there, because they talk about Oscar the Priest in Black history. They talk about him as the first Black congressman. Everybody who's a Black guy has the first Blacks book with the kente cloth cover with all the pictures of all the people on it. And all the Black guys know that he's the first Black. So don't try to play like this is something out of the Moorish vault or whatever like that about him being elected, whatever. The fact of the matter that they don't want to talk about, which is why they don't talk about him in Black History Month. They recognize him as the first Black whatever though, but they don't bring him up. They're going to have to bring up his past. They're going to have to bring up his connection. Just like with everybody else. You do a bibliography, you're going to find out about them. And they're going to talk about it. Like we said, there's pictures of them together. And the only reason that the Moors voted for him because he was Moorish American. He wasn't Black guy. They denationalized him. That's why Moors voted for him. They didn't vote for him because he was a Black guy. And why? Again, just like the same way that they use James Wormley to infiltrate the UNIA. Because he was a brother. He passed for a European. Same thing with why they put Oscar the Priest as the guy. Because 1920 Chicago, you're not going to put no dark-skinned guy up there. Talk about go vote for that guy. So he's not winning anything. Remember, 1920s. You really think you're going to put a dark-skinned guy up there to go win something against these Europeans? Or are you going to put somebody who almost looks like them and mess them up after he wins? Because don't forget, he's also going to get European votes. He's not just going to get Moorish American votes only. He's going to get European votes too. The same Europeans who were backing the Prophet back then for all the European hating Moors. Talking crazy. Like Europeans didn't support this too. And they weren't some sovereign citizens either, or some Peter Lamborn or whatever like that. Don't think Europeans were riding with Noble Drew Ali to hide dirt they were doing or some type of BS. And then think about that. If they were using what Noble Drew Ali brought to hide dirt that they're doing, there are some smart-ass Europeans. You're actually thinking. Because if saying that you're an ipso germ subject, my name is Bay or whatever, is going to get you out of whatever. I mean, why not? But then it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Where's your allegiance lie after you do that? Does it lie with just yourself, or does it lie with continuing to show honors to the little bit of sprinkling of sovereignty we gave you to make you get out your BS, because you understand this is Morocco.
Yep.
And you understand, as a European, you're a foreigner here. And because you're a foreigner European, either show honors to the Moors or go back to Europe. Oh, you don't want to go back to Europe? Okay. Then you stay here and judgment is on your head. Just ask them. You worried about some Chicago murders or whatever like that. You think these Europeans aren't dying off too? Remember, it has to be balanced. If many of the founders of civilization die, then so are the children. The retarded children are also gonna lose some. Because the law of balance. Everything has to be balanced. No matter what you claim or try to do about it, it's always gonna balance itself out. Because that's just the law. Not the assumption. It's the law. It's gonna balance itself out. I don't care what you think you're gonna do. You do whatever.
Was it you that posted that link, Grand Sheik?
Was that?
Was it you that posted the link with the Europeans dying off?
I can't. No, I don't think so. That might be somebody else. I can't remember.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. I'm gonna put it in the chat. I'm gonna tag the link in the chat.
Okay. Yeah, I don't even know. Maybe.
Yeah, it's a European student who was doing a seminar speaking to another college. I think it was Wisconsin. And he was doing a seminar on the, Europeans just dying out. Like, and the rates going up year and year and year and year. Every year, more Europeans just dying. And the rate keeps going up more and more. And they asked him a question about other races. And he said, I can't answer those questions. I don't care about other races. And that's not a problem for me not to just care about my own race. I said, no, that ain't a problem. But the way you...
Uh-oh. They're so rude. You guys are so rude. You're just cutting people's phone off like that. Just like that, you're just cutting people's phone off. You guys are damn rude. Just rude.
They disconnected.
You got them mad, yo.
Yeah. As soon as I bring it up.
Bring it up again. Bring it up again. Let's see what happens again.
It's a link that about Europeans that dying off enormously, and the European was just going in and at the school about how his people were dying off through divorces, promoting women in the work field to go to work and not having stay-at-home moms anymore. He didn't say it was anything wrong with it. He's saying it's affecting us while y'all going to work. When before y'all would just stay at home and have the children. Wow. You know what I mean? But now y'all going to work and women can do all this and do this. Well, we're not producing doing that. And then he's saying, interracial marriages, that's messing with us too. And I'm like, Dad, this guy had a whole breakdown on how they're dying off. Like, we're not producing. I think it's like they used to have like two to three children a family. You know what I mean? Like, now it's just like 0.5. Like, it's not even a whole child. Like, because they're adopting children.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, that's the percentage now they're having. Like, it's so low of them reproducing that they're adopting children. So just to go in on what you were saying about, you know, these Europeans is dying. They going on tour talking about it.
Yeah. It's real.
So that's how, and that's why I think I was telling you about that. Yeah, I think I was watching it somewhere else. And I was telling you, but the thing was that bucked me out. Well, when he was talking all those numbers and how they were dying off, my thing was, well, if they're dying off at enormous numbers, how are we still suffering? That means it has to be us doing this to us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if they're dying off like that,
they got bigger issues to worry about, but than us or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy.
I think it says Europeans going extinct. That's the name of the link, the video on YouTube.
Europeans going extinct. Wow.
And that's what we follow. We're not spooked out. We're not spooked out about this government. Oh, no, brother, we don't do that because that's the United States corporation, and I'm a part of the American Republic, and there's a difference. Brother, we follow the footsteps of the prophet.
What?
Yeah.
Another slick one. They follow the footsteps of the prophet. Okay, hold on a second.
It's not Black history. It's Moorish history. Okay? After John White, 1901, no Asiatics in Congress until the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And that's what we follow. We're not spooked out. We're not spooked out about this government. Oh, no, brother, we don't do that because that's the United States corporation, and I'm a part of the American Republic, and there's a difference. Brother, we follow the footsteps of the prophet.
No. There's nowhere that Noble Drew Ali made reference to a U.S. government. The things that he spoke about were relative to the foundation of the United States of America and their relation to the Aboriginal indigenous Moors. And that because we are Moorish American, you corporate people don't have jurisdiction over us. We are not your Negroes, blacks, or coloreds property. That's what he was saying when we're not Negro, black, colored. He was telling you that you're not the corporation's property. That these Moors are telling you, it doesn't matter if it's a corporation. We're following what Noble Drew Ali said, and Noble Drew Ali said what? Relative to corporate governments. Like, where's the quote that Noble Drew Ali said support corporate governments?
And I declare that the prophet is right. Therefore, the temple is right. Mo, what I do, as Brother A. Hopkins say, I put the prophet on the table. Okay? If you want to argue with the prophet, Mo, that's a fool's errand. But once you, I demonstrate a part of my gospel, Mo, is when anybody put the prophet on the table, stand down. Stand down. They put the prophet on the table, stand down. Don't go back and forth and argue and try to make your point. Stand down, because the prophet, he was Allah's prophet. And a prophet is a thought of Allah manifested in the flesh. So the words of the prophet are the words of Almighty God Allah himself. That's how merciful Almighty God Allah is. He knows that we can be so undisciplined because Allah speaks to all of us in a still small voice. He who hears is still. We all can access the still small voice, but Allah knows that a lot of us are so hard-headed and stiff-necked that we don't want to meditate. We don't want to still ourselves. We want to do all else. So what does Allah do? He shows mercy when he actually manifests his thought. He manifests his thought in flesh. Makes it a manifest is something that's made plain, something that's made obvious to the senses. And you'll hear stories about the prophet. When my parents go to the temple, it was Moors in the temple who walked with the prophet. And they tell stories about the prophet. They said the prophet would come out and he walk amongst the Moors. He tell the Moors to look at him. He said, look at him. Holy prophet will ask the Moors, will you know me? So one day you're going to love me. Okay? So this is Allah's mercy, brother. That's why I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful.
Another one is, remember, all that stuff he's talking about with, people who walked with the prophet, and all that stuff is documented in the oral statements. So again, it's not some secret thing of some people who they know who are so connected to Noble Drew Ali, so you're going to listen to them. Anybody get them records? Noble Drew Ali's oral statements. Read those. Those are things, people who walked with the prophet and all that type of stuff, that documented some stuff for you Moors today to have something relative, so you know what level your prophet was at. Now, people talk about prophets demand, but then they're not exercising anything that he said exercise. They're playing games with the birthright. There you go right there. Anybody with the flags in some other position, playing you. Don't let them play you. Do not let them play you. There's a lot more. You have any closeout thoughts? Oh, snap. Please, more. All I asked was if you had any closeout thoughts, and then the thing just cut, you. They don't want you tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, more.
Can you hear me, Reggie?
Yeah, I'm hearing you now.
Okay. Islam to the Moors in the chat. And give thanks to your platform. And give honor to the prophet.
Peace and love, more. Give thanks, more. You already know. Islam to all the Moors. Anybody out there got anything quick, fast? Spit it right now. Yeah, the Moorish flag's upside down because of distress, and the stars and stripes backwards because of distress. But they're going to tell you that, oh, the reason it's like that, because it's really for the people on the outside of the window, so they can see the way the flags really go from the outside of the window. What do you mean? Why would anybody be looking from the outside if the stuff is happening inside? Like, the things are happening inside, but the flags are so outside people could see it? No, I can't go for that one. Sorry. And then even if the flags were switched around, then the Amity banner would not be in distress, but the Moorish flag would still be in distress, which doesn't make any sense either. Dirty, rotten scoundrel, scoundrel. Yeah, that's them. Islam to all the Moors. Peace and love to all the Moors. Islam to the goat head. Islam to Baphomet the more. Islam to Baphomet the more. Don't forget, you can also go on. You can also go and watch Grand Chief Nature Albay's classes. You got some stuff on YouTube. You gotta fill up. Islam to all the Moors. Peace and love to everybody. Honors to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Honors to Marcus Garvey, and honors to all the ancestors that are now on the spirit realm assisting us. Islam to all the Moors out there worldwide. Peace and love, Moors. It seems all right on the surface until you study. And when you study, you realize what's really good.
Yeah.
Don't forget, study, study, study. And when you finish studying and ask, hey, what's next? And then what's next doesn't come by. Study yourself. Self. That should trip you out to go study. That should trip you out to go study. Islam to all the wars. Peace and love. Islam.